Okay, Gabe. Well, we're at the bench. We've got your 6309 and we're ready to get started. So now we're gonna get everything torn down and taken apart. And that way we can assess the movement, all the pieces and parts, and get things back to where they should be. The way they should be. All right. Alright, first we want to take off all the winding components while we're in the case. Just makes things easier, makes the bottom of the watch actually flat, so that when we remove things like the dial and hands, we're working on a flat, even surface. So that makes it a little easier. Got a lot of grime and yuck under here, so that's interfering with this bushing. Unfortunately, with bushings, they are made of metal, and that material can often be a bit of a grinding paste that will lead to some damage. So we'll have to look at that very closely under high magnification. In a lot of cases, we have to jewel the train bridge a little bit. Okay, no lubricant under your cap jewel here. So that means we haven't seen service or seen TLC in a little while. Let's take off your balance. Okay. There goes your balance. Okay, so now we can take out your movement ring. There we go. Looks pretty good. Alright, let's take out your, whoops, helps to unscrew that. Alright, got all your pieces and parts there, so that's good. Come back to that in a moment. Yeah, everything looks good. Good enough. We're starting okay. Make sure we've run all the power down. Okay. Right on. Let's go ahead and take this out. And revealing your dial. Looks pretty good. Hey, of course your hands need a little bit of work, but we should be able to at least clean them up a little bit. A lot of times you lose, you can see maybe here, for example, you lost a little bit of your plating due to this moisture that has condensated around the edges here. And that will be sort of the standard that we find, is that a lot of places that have this black will become a bit brassy, especially here. There's not a ton we can do about that, and unfortunately stocks of these hands have gone bye-bye a long time ago, but we will do our best to get these looking better. Alright, that seems like pretty good alignment there. Never really think about these things wearing out, but apparently they are kind of grody. they do their job, but after using them hundreds of times, they get a little bit tattered. Here we go. Get to your minute hand here. There we go. Minute and hour hand removed. Okay. Protects that dial. Very good. Very good. Okay. So now, let's go ahead, actually, let me leave this here. Let's go ahead and take a close look at your dial. So the back of your case, now some of these, this is a 79, so this should be somewhere early 79, 9-2, which is exactly right. So 9-2 and 9-3, 1 month apart. That's nice to see. Very good. That's a nice original dial. Okay, let's get your movement back over here. We're going to start disassembling the train side. So the train of wheels, all the gears and plates. Ratchet wheel, which controls the power going into the mainspring. Now, what you can see here, see this brass? That's due to the wear of your arbor port jewels, or your lack of arbor port jewels and your wear of your arbor ports. You can see the top here, this thing moves back and forth, which means that this wheel has tipped over and started to wear out. Your main plate has rubbed off the, and that's a loss of power. That's big time loss of power. Because if that is doing that, you can be assured that there are other parts that are in contact with the plates that are leading to increased friction. And friction in a watch movement is very, very negative in terms of what it does. I noticed in a previous video that I was getting out of focus, and so I want to make sure that everything is in focus so everybody can see. Yeah, got a lot of S2 lubricant that's leaked out. Not unexpected. Okay, here are your wheels. There's your fourth wheel. Here's your third wheel. Come on. Spinning around. Here's your pallet fork. Looks pretty good. Escape wheel. Just take out your barrel. Ooh-wee. A little dirty and somewhat oblong. That hole, that's where we're going to put a jewel. That hole should have been jeweled in 1979, but Seiko, being cost effective as they were and not intending on these watches to live for 50 plus years, they skimped out a bit and left that just a metal post and a brass hole, which is a bad idea. Yeah. Ooh, that is pretty oblong. So interesting. Okay. Well, it will be a lovely jewel once we're done. Let's flip back over here to your calendar. Okay. So that will sit aside, this will sit to the side, this will go in the wash. I always think that screwdriver is small enough, and it never is. That one is. There's your C-clip. Come on. Very cool Roman English wheel. Okay. Retaining plates for your date ring. Alright, a little bit of moisture condensation on these. Not quite as shiny as I was hoping, but that's okay. We will see if everything's in good shape. Okay. They really saved some money here. 3 screws on the whole calendar side. It's pretty impressive, I have to say. A very small number of actual screws. Come on. Here we go. Okay. Our wheel. Cannon pinion. And center wheel. Right. Intermediate wheel, minute wheel. Setting lever. Here's your yoke. And with that, we are done with the teardown. All right, so this is where the fun really starts. We get to add a jewel in this plate and add a jewel in your bridge, thus increasing the lifetime of your watch by a very long time. So we will start the cleaning process. Good look at all of your pivots and all your jewels and make sure everybody's clean and no residual scunge around, and we'll get started getting back together. All right, when we return, clean and fancy parts. Hey Gabe, well, I think I've gotten to the bottom of why your watch was running so poorly when it came in. Something I couldn't quite discern from just looking at it, but this is your hairspring and balance wheel. The hairspring should be a straight line with a little bit of a curve in it, what's called the terminal curve, that goes from your stud to your adjusting pivot here, this point. And I don't know if you can see the actual hairspring, but it makes a loop. That should be a straight line. I think somebody tried to adjust this at one point, and this is out of whack somehow, and it grabbed a hold of the hairspring and yoink, pushed it over, which in turn destroyed your hairspring. So I have these in stock. You get a balance and a hairspring together, and this one will come back to you. Okay. Okay, Gabe. Well, you might be wondering why I have two crowns sitting here. One is yours. Actually, both are yours because, unfortunately, when I went to rebuild yours, your crown post snapped off inside of your crown. That is a problem sometimes that happens with water intrusion getting down into the crown and getting onto these threads and just locking them. It's unfortunate, but what is fortunate is that I have a new one and the new post that I'm going to replace this one with, and that is going to come back to you, and this one will be the new one that goes onto your watch. Now, the way I usually handle this is if it's a rebuild cost, which is part of the crown rebuilding cost, that cost will go into the purchase of these new parts. And so there won't be an additional crown rebuild component to the build, but it will be offsetting the part of the cost of these two pieces. So as fair as I can do. I don't have very many of these, and it's lucky I still have a few that I've squirreled away. And so you get one of my original parts. Okay. Just the way the ball bounces sometimes. Unfortunately, it's just, wet things. While we're in here talking about wet stuff, here's your inner case, your middle case. You do have some water damage to your sealing surfaces here around your crystal. Your ring, your bezel that goes on top of this has a little bit more rust damage. It's not necessarily essential that be an excellent sealing surface, but this is essential as a sealing surface. And unfortunately, it's no longer has the integrity of a pure sealing surface. So, water is always the evil. And unfortunately, it's done its evil on this one. But it's these aren't really guaranteed against water anymore. So just something to keep in mind as you move forward with the watch. You've got a sealing surface around your crystal that's compromised. Your back sealing surface is fine. This one is in good shape, and of course your stem is in good shape. But your stem tube, but this has some definite pitting. Just something to be aware of. Okay, Gabe. Well, we are ready to get going. Time to start the lubrication and reassembly of your movement. Here's your lower mainspring arbor port jewel, and it's got a corresponding companion right here. There's your upper mainspring arbor port jewel. Ready to get going. A couple little setbacks along the way on a couple things, but these are old devices that have been exposed to the elements, and that is just the way it goes sometimes. Unfortunately, there's they're not all perfect. I wish they were. All right, so let's start putting your train of wheels back together. Alright, your center wheel. Okay, now your barrel goes in place. Let's take a look at your escape wheel. Make sure it's nice and clean. There we go. There's your third wheel. Your fourth wheel. Alright. We have to put in your click spring. This is a 6309, and so click spring goes before your train bridge. There we go. Now your bridge. There we go. And that's how that's put together. Sorry for the snoring. My companions. They love to snore. Nice free train. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put your ratchet wheel in. Okay, now let's do a little bit of lubrication and we'll flip over to the other side. All right. lubricate your cannon pinion, your center wheel for the cannon pinion. Right, now we can put in your die shock. Wow, it's noisy. Sure is noisy around here. Not sure if you can hear that. I don't know how you wouldn't be able to, but good gosh, it's what I listen to all day long. Crazy. Crazy dogs. Snorri and Snorer. Okay, now it's time to place your pallet fork into its jewel. Oops, sorry about that. Get a little close to my work here. Okay. Right. There we go. All right, let's see if our replacement balance and hairspring look good. They do look good. Let's see if they function as well as we hope. Come on. You're on? Yeah. back in there. Come now. Come on. Okay. All right, good. Check. Okay, Gabe. Well, we are actually a little bit of time has passed. I decided that what I would do, instead of just changing out the whole shooting match in your with your balance, I would actually put you a new hairspring in. So here's your old hairspring. You can see that loop. Isn't that amazing? I don't know how this thing did anything. That is supposed to be a straight piece of wire. So you have a new hairspring now, and I don't know, I'd call that pretty good. We're running 250s, flat, dead accurate. That makes me pretty happy. So a little bit of surgery, one part replaced, looking pretty good. I think this is going to be a winner. So we're fully broken in and ready to start with the final assembly, the dash towards the dial and hands, and we're gonna start that process now. Okay, just a quick update. Looking good though. This is really nice. Okay, Gabe. Well, we are right here at the last of the parts and pieces for the calendar works, so let's go ahead and do that together. I went ahead and put your keyless works together. So now, sorry about that, we can fit the rest of these pieces in. It's incredible the efficiencies that they found with the 6309, 6306 movements. They went from having very specific, and they still did this actually, but for these movements, for some reason, they found the efficiencies and they used them. For example, the screw I'm fumbling around with right now is actually it's the same screw on all 6000 series movements that hold even the chronographs, that hold the pallet fork bridge in place. But on this movement, it holds the pallet fork bridge, it holds the date finger corrector, it holds the winding assembly. So there are, 6 of them on this movement, where normally there are 2. And so that means there are less specific screws that they had to manufacture, or at least put on these movements. And it really just, I'm sure, cut the cost down tremendously. Okay, so let's put your date ring in place. There we go. Okay, so now we take your other plate. And put its screw in place. All right. Okay, great. Good. Okay, next is your day wheel. Okay, your C-clip. Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that thing go. Excellent. Okay, well, that is your movement built out in its entirety, in fact. And now, make some little checks here. What just happened? What just happened? All right, let's look and see. This is why we check. What is going on here? Five. Oh, okay. Let's do it one more time. Let's just watch here. Eight. Friday. Okay. That seems all right. Okay. All right. Well, I may just seen some weird aberration in my brain, but we are ready to go, and it's time to dial in hands. All right, we'll be back. Okay, Gabe, we are right at the end here. We have gotten your movement recased, and we're going to go ahead and put the final parts and pieces. We're at the end of the day. Even the dogs are snoring and tired, which is actually any time of the day. But it is time to finish up all right. Man, my tweezers took a beating. Okay. Let's see if that helps. Yes, it does. So remember I was saying the screws that are all the same, that's this set here. It's the same screw as a 6139 pallet fork bridge. It's kind of funny. Exact same screw. Even the same as a Bellmatic pallet bridge, oddly enough. All right, that's that. All right, let's get your weight installed. Break out the big screwdriver. Okay, great. Let's get your new gasket. Lubricated and ready. case back here. Okay. Alrighty. At least mostly tight. Alright. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at what we have accomplished. I think it's going to be quite the transformation. I hope, anyway. I hope you're happy. I am very happy with the way this came out. Couple little pitfalls, couple little stumbles with components and things that didn't want to behave very nicely. It's that darn H2O, gets you every time. Okay, well, there we have it. There we have it. The lovely (6309) from 1979, early one, 7040. I think it came out just great. Your movement's running really well. Everything seems to be chugging along just as it should. We had our share of things that we had to take care of. It wasn't, it wasn't without its minor hiccups along the way, but I think we've persevered, and what's resulted in is a really fine-looking turtle. This is a great-looking watch. I really am happy with the way it came out. So let's review. Let's go over everything again. We've sort of touched on a few things as we've moved through the process here, but I want to make sure that you have a full understanding of what we actually worked on and did. Yeah, so here in simple stuff, straightforward things, gaskets, crystal. Unfortunately, your crown bit the dust, as did your stem. So you have a two-part stem in this. This is your bushing from your mainspring arbor port, upper mainspring arbor port bushing. I replaced that, of course, with a jewel. We've also replaced your hairspring, which was in pretty bad shape, unfortunately. It's a nice-looking hairspring. It's sad that it got bent so badly. I'm not sure what happened there. I went back and looked at all the videos, and it was there. I just didn't notice it. And when we tried to do our evaluation and get it to run, that little guy was out of whack. So I would say, we did some work on your hands, and they came out quite well. I got as much of the black off of the hand material, the actual shiny parts of the hand, as much as I could. A little bit embedded in the edges along the loom. The worst, of course, is your sweep second. That lollipop is a bit dingy. That's as good as I could get it. I didn't want to get into the loom. Your pip had fallen out. It had dried up, and the resin that holds it in place had gotten essentially degraded over time. I restabilized that, so that's now in for good. No problem there. New case back seal, of course, new crown, new stem, new parts. Everything screws down nice and tight. Works just as it should. Bezel clicks are good. Got a new bezel seal. So I think we've made quite the progress here on this lovely 6309. I'm going to run my final checks and make sure that it's ready to go out the door, and once we're done with that, it's going to come back to you. So functions, everything goes through just fine. Let's go through your quick date. There we go. And through Red Square Sunday. All right. Well, Gabe, thanks so much. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up your 6139, get all the gaskets changed out, and we will get this back to you, of course. So, thanks again, and thanks for watching. All right, take care.